see a rock star up on the moon. You see the wallet, see a rock star. See the wallet, see a rock star. That's what I do. You see the wallet, see a rock star. I'm the first rock star landed on the moon. If the market took a stage dive, I'll LeBron the exchange, this is game 5. I'm in the pools that you can't find. I'm doing private sales on the late night. Doing private sales on the late night. Advising how to build up a chain right. Cap too high, pitch ain't right. When you're dealing with a rock star, play nice. I want 100 X's on the stage, right? There's only 100 X's on the stage, right? I treat the bull market like a cage fight. I'm just headed to the moon, you a plane flight. You see the wallet, see a rock star. See the wallet, see a rock star. That's what I do. You see the wallet, see a rock star. See the wallet, see a rock star up on the moon. You see the wallet, see a rock star. See the wallet, see a rock star. That's what I do. You see the wallet, see a rock star. I'm the first rock star landing on the moon. I was born, first words was 100x. I can make a bull run, you just run a desk. I'm talking 10 or high and not a portion less. I'm talking I retire from the corporate checks. I want you to retire from the office stress. So you gotta get inspired by the token mess. We change the world of style, wanna come with us? One giant leap, this is just a small step. One giant leap, this is just a small step. One giant leap, this is just a small step. Rock stars on the moon, this is a small step. One giant leap, we call that 100x. You see the wallet, see a rock star. See the wallet, see a rock star. That's what I do. You see the wallet, see a rock star. I'm the first rock star landing on the moon. Rock stars on the moon. I know I will be joining you. Know I will see all of you soon on the moon. Rock stars on the moon. I know I will be joining you. Know I will see all of you soon on the moon. It's rock stars on the moon. Rock stars on the moon. Rock stars on the moon. You'll be joining us soon. Rock stars on the moon. You'll be joining us soon. You'll be joining us soon. It's rock stars on the moon.
TokenMetrics is a cryptocurrency investment platform that helps users leverage machine learning to become better crypto investors. Our in-depth analysis helps eliminate the emotions of investing, find profitable investment opportunities, and filters out scams. Learn more at tokenmetrics.com. Disclaimer: TokenMetrics Media LLC does not provide individually tailored investment advice and does not take a subscriber's or anyone's personal circumstance into consideration when discussing investments. Nor is it registered as an investment advisor or broker-dealer in any jurisdiction. Information contained herein is not an offer or solicitation to buy, hold, or sell any security. The TokenMetrics team has advised and invested in many blockchain companies. A complete list of their advisory roles and current holdings can be viewed here at tokenmetrics.com/disclosures.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. I'm Ian Blina, your host, and today we have the pleasure of being joined by Kyle Chassé. Kyle, how are you?
Doing great, man. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So I had the pleasure of meeting Kyle in Malta last year, and Kyle is in a way a crypto OG. He's been involved in the space for a long time. He also is doing great things in crypto in Thailand and globally. So it's a pleasure to have you on the 100X show. Welcome on board.
Thanks, man. It's a pleasure to be here, and it's good to meet you too.
All right, so let's hop straight into it. Who is Kyle Chassé? Tell us about yourself.
Sure, man. So I've been a serial entrepreneur ever since I was very, very young, and just kind of always led by passion. Every business that I had was something that I kind of dreamt up. It was like I never wanted to be something that somebody else was. I never wanted to be an accountant or a doctor or something like that. I always looked for kind of holes or things that needed to exist and wanted to create something that was always new and innovative. So usually most of my companies in the past, they've been something that have never existed before, and we're usually unique, one of a kind. Before I have had several companies I attempted, several that failed for one reason or another. At the same time, I've always been fairly aware of everything. You know, I've never been someone who's been super into, you know, mainstream kind of things that were into, you know, like sports and reality TV and things like this. It's always been just kind of very intrigued by the way that the world works, the way that systems were designed, the way that, you know, that we were programmed from youth to kind of, you know, go through this system that was created for us. And, you know, also very aware of the way that the world is ran, you know, from a very high up perspective. And, you know, like, I would say that I'm somewhat of a conspiracy theorist. I don't believe everything that anybody says, but I definitely let myself question things that I think are reasonable, you know? And, you know, so
I like that.
When it came to, thank you. Yeah, I mean, you know, everyone should question everything, right? I mean, if you're questioning something and it's defensible, then it's defensible, you know? But if it's not, then there's further reason to question these things. And so, you know, being from the United States and being born and raised in California, you know, I've been very aware of the way that, not from a very like in-depth level on the way that politics work, but enough of an understanding to know that I didn't want to really participate in that system because I felt like I really didn't have a voice. You know, like people, when I started traveling a bunch when I was you know, 17, right out of high school, I didn't go to a normal college. Like I didn't have any desire to do that. So I went, you know, and started traveling the world and just kind of learning and became obsessed with that. But people would often ask me, because people are curious being an American, you know, especially back when I started traveling. That was when I started traveling a lot in 2002. Only less than, I think it was less than 2% of Americans had passports, right? So you didn't meet many Americans abroad, backpacking, things like that. And so people were extremely curious about, you know, my perspective on politics in the USA and things like that. And, you know, I just always really said, like, I've never voted for anything before, you know, and some people think that that's crazy or you know, not using the democracy that we were raised in and being able to voice my opinion. But, you know, the fact of the matter is that, like, it doesn't matter which president of the United States has been president, nothing really has changed in my life, my friend's life, or the world for that matter. You know, it's still the same thing that goes on day in, day out. Poverty is still poverty. Poor countries are still poor. Wealth is unevenly distributed. And when you get in, you know, when I got into a bit more about understanding how the politics work and how laws were created, you know, I also understood that as long as we can have lobbying within Washington, that's really, it doesn't matter, because the people with all the money make all the votes and they make all the rules. And so, you know, yeah, so when people would ask me who I voted for, usually like referring to which presidents, you know, I always say, like, it doesn't matter who I voted for. I didn't vote, but even if I did, it really wouldn't matter. First of all, I'm from California, which is always a Democratic state. So it really, really doesn't matter. But even if I lived in a swing state, I still wouldn't vote because, like I said, it really doesn't matter. That system that the United States has, which I believe is just like it's really just a front for the powers that be, the elites, whatever you want to call them, the people with all the money in the world. They use that because America is looked at by all the other countries as the kind of guidance, right? People look to SEC and things like that for the rules and things, and then they usually make rules. And the ridiculous thing is, like, they also tried to regulate far beyond their borders, right? Like we see what's going on with Telegram right now. You know, it's ridiculous. But with that being said, I've always felt powerless, you know, and it wasn't until I got into Bitcoin. I found out about it in 2012, like through a lot of people, same way as a lot of people, through Silk Road, and in 2013, I believe, is when the whole WikiLeaks happened, right? And this is when, like, Julian Assange started leaking all these documents about the U.S. government, and it was very embarrassing, you know, to say the least. And they went into the mode that they normally would go into, and they saw that this is a nonprofit that relies on survives on donations, and so they put pressure on all the payment gateways to stop allowing payments to come into WikiLeaks, right? So Visa, MasterCard, MoneyGram, PayPal, bank wires, everything, like they couldn't accept any type of donations anymore. And they were suffocating them, you know? And then someone's like, psst, try Bitcoin, you know? And so they did try Bitcoin, and boom, money came in again. And all of a sudden they were allowed to continue operations. And that's when I really understood how powerful blockchain, open public blockchain, permissionless, censorship resistant, how these kind of things were so important and really were going to change the world. So in 2013, that's when I really said, holy shit, I got to get on board this. I got to get involved. It instantly made me feel like I could do something in the world. You know, I went from feeling powerless all my life to powerful. And yeah, and so that's kind of my start in Bitcoin and blockchain. And I've been full time ever since then.
Awesome. I mean, that's definitely quite a story. We're definitely going to drill down onto the different conspiracy theories because I think lots of people in crypto definitely do have the same sentiment, because I feel like most people in crypto in a way are free thinkers or even independent or just libertarian in principles, right? Especially when it comes to sound money and finance. So we definitely want to drill into that. So if you have any questions you would like to ask on this show, please go to menti.com. That's MENTI.com. And just put in the code 434322. That's 434322 to submit your questions for Kyle and I. So please go ahead and do that. We'll be taking questions from everywhere, from YouTube, Twitter, Periscope, all different platforms. Just go to menti.com to ask your question. Okay, Kyle. So back to conspiracy theories. so crypto really made you feel like you could actually do something in the world, right? So right now we're in a global pandemic. What's your take on crypto, right? Because recently this week, basically regulators are looking to possibly regulate or ban stablecoins. And how do you think that's, how do you think things like that will affect crypto, Bitcoin? What's your take on all this, plus the pandemic?
Mm-hmm. So when it comes down to regulation, you know, Ian, you know about what I'm doing with Crypto Exchange Alliance, and we don't need to get into that right now, but you know, that whole idea aligns with the reason that idea was born. And I believe that it's going to be incredibly difficult for regulators to try to enforce regulation or legislation that was passed on a local level, when for the first time in our history, really, we have projects and companies that are being born from the day that they're open with the intention of a global audience or global target demographic. So if you are FinCEN or you are SEC or FATF, and you have somebody creating a stable coin in Ethiopia, and they say you can't do that, and he says, screw you, I'm going to. You know, how do you, I mean, could you imagine the amount of resources that would need to be applied in order to go after every single person in some small country, some city somewhere that has a computer that can program something, or just fork some other open source code and create something like, furthermore, getting into decentralization, what happens when you have decentralized stablecoins? How are you going to ban that? You know, so I'm not too worried about it. The more that people try to regulate and constrict and confine us, the more that it'll push the need for true decentralized technologies. You know, they could probably do a good job at banning USDT. You know, that's a company that's registered in the States. That is, you know, they work out of the States. And, you know, and then they know who operates those, you know, who does those operations. That could probably be shut down. But when you look at these decentralized stablecoins, Maker or Money on Chain or whatever, you know, like these guys, they're going to have a lot more difficult time trying to stop that. It would essentially be the same as trying to stop Bitcoin, right? So I guess that's my take on stablecoins. And also one more point about regulation and legislation. I mean, that's not just my theory, right? We've seen Binance, right, which opens in China, and China says, well, no, we're going to make crypto illegal. They said, all right, we're out here. See you later. Pick up their laptops and go to another jurisdiction. Go to Malta or whatever. Then Malta says, yeah, you know what? We don't want you here. They're like, yeah, no problem. See you later. We're going to go somewhere else. Binance hasn't skipped a beat, right? When regulation becomes unfavorable where they are, they just pick up and leave. You know, they're for the most part, their operations are very decentralized. Like, I've spoken to a lot of employees at Binance, and none of them really seem to have an office anywhere. You know, so when it comes to regulation, I think it's what I think that we need in the space is self-regulation, right? And so we do need best practices and standards. We do need ways to protect consumers, but that needs to be on a self-regulatory type of thing where we don't throw people in prison for doing things. We just educate the public on these self-regulatory types of systems that we set up, and those who choose to follow the best practices and standards should be recognized, and people should choose then to do business or use those projects that are following best practices and standards that protect consumers. However, they don't stifle innovation, right? So I guess that's my take on regulation. What was your question about pandemic?
I mean, so in terms of the pandemic, this is something that nobody has really seen.
It's man-made in a lab, and it's biological. And
well, prior to getting into that, we're going into a recession. Unemployment is probably going to 20%, maybe even higher. How is
20,
yeah?
Yeah, 22 million.
How's all of this now going to affect crypto?
You know, it's hard to say. You know, I think what, you know, basically what happened in 2000, you know, as we see different failures of the government to actually do their job and govern. You know, right now we have the United States giving, you know, essentially a $6 trillion print of money, and a very small amount of that went to the people who actually need it. You know, I think the first thing was something like 250 billion or something for the small business loans. They in like day 2 of opening up applications, they already ran out of funds, right? So now you still have countless businesses around the United States that didn't get to take it. So it seems to me like that was all propaganda. They're like, oh no, don't worry, we got you covered. You know, and now you see on the news and things like that, that there's tons of people that weren't covered. They're like, oh, don't worry, we got you covered. We're going to roll out 350 billion more. Well, that's going to run out in another couple of days too. Then what are you going to do? You know, and so it's a series of events that are breaking the trust from the citizens to the government. And this is why Satoshi, you know, in his white paper created, you know, Bitcoin. It was at a perfect timing during the last 2008 financial crisis. And he said, you know, this is something that we need to free the people and give them an alternative method that's not ran by a government and has a more sound, you know, monetary principles. So, you know, this is all, and then I guess, you know, people have tried to, I think there, whether there seems to be a lot of things that seem just kind of too perfect for this virus to have been released when it was. There's a lot of things that it had going for it. You know, it was discovered literally just before, just as the Chinese New Year was coming into play, and then you had something like 5 million or something, you know, Chinese distributed around the world. Probably, you know, a lot of them infected with this thing, and then it was distributed, you know, nicely throughout the world at that point. So that's one thing. And another thing too is that we were also heading into a financial disaster before COVID, right? And then it just seems a little like, it's crazy to me that I watch, if I'm watching the news or something, and people are like, yeah, the economy was fantastic, and then COVID came and now it's crumbling. It's like, no, dude, the economy was not fantastic before. We were already set up for a lot of bad problems to come. It seems like this is a scapegoat for that, you know? And there's just and then you have, like, I am completely lost when it comes and just don't understand at all how we can have more unemployment than we did in 1929 Great Depression. A lot more, right? I think in 1929 there was something like 15 million unemployed. We're by next week we'll be double that. How the hell are the markets pumping? Like how does that make any sense whatsoever? It doesn't make any. I can't wrap my head around, you know. And it seems like people, but I don't know. I don't understand that. I mean, because it doesn't make sense, obviously. But I guess in this situation, the thing is, you know, the famous Warren Buffett saying, like, be fearful when everyone's greedy and be greedy when everyone's fearful, right? And I think right now people are just being greedy.
Yeah, I mean, because I think that the stock market is not really attached to the economy anymore, right? Because there's been so much money pumped into it, right? Money with buybacks, and it's not really a good way to represent the economy. So we could have a recession while the stock market is booming. So I think that's something people should kind of keep in mind when viewing the stock market. All right, so let's now talk about the cool things you're working on in the space. So let's begin with House of DAO. What's the House of DAO? Sure.
Okay, so this is, again, this all kind of stems like from especially House of, so you know, there's two projects that's Master Ventures, which is our parent company, is kind of incubating or creating, right? And we've got two different teams working on them. House of DAO would be my passion project, or the one that I'm building because I want to live in something like we're building. I want it to be part of my life. Where Crypto Exchange Alliance is something that we're building because I know that it'll help the space mature, and I see a massive need for it. So with House of DAO, the idea comes from growing up in the States and observing adults in the space and observing the education system and observing the way that we were trained, right? Like, you know, from the day that you're born, you're told a certain story of how life should be, right? You're told that you're supposed to go to school for at least 12 years, and then you should, if you don't want to be a dummy, you should go to university, pay a bunch of money, and then go get yourself a really nice job so you can go work for somebody else. And then go work for them for 40 years or so, maybe now more 50, 60 years now, because we have Social Security running out. But you should go work for them. And then by the time you're really old, you can stop working, and then you can, you know, enjoy the rest of your life, right? And so that is a really, that's a broken model to begin with. But what that has led to is it's led to a lot of very, very unhappy people. You know, most, like, growing up, my observations of family, friends, family, strangers, whatever, most people wake up on Monday and the first reaction is, shit, I have to go to work today. And they hit the alarm and they want to go back to bed. And what is life if the majority of days that you wake up, you wish that you didn't have to? You know, that is a shitty way to live life. And those people then go to work, and they go and they hate their job, and they grind through it, and then they just can't wait till Friday comes, and they get off work, and they either go like party so they can forget how shitty their life is, or they'll go rest and relax and just wait till Monday to come again, you know? And that leads to a lot of, what's your purpose in life at that point? You know, if that's what you're doing, you're just kind of skating through life. And then you also have the problem when that's your life, and then you have a family, you go back to the same little box that you live in with your family, and your significant other probably has the same type of job or something like that they also hate. And then you come back every day, you don't really have much of a social life, and you two every single day are back in that same box, and you kind of start to take out your aggressions on each other, whatever. And then what happens is you have this dysfunctional family. Right. And so this is one of the reasons that we have such a high divorce rate in America and things like that. It's because people aren't focused on something that they love to do with passion and drive. They're just living their life, and they get bored, and so they pick on each other, and then they create, you know, it's a whole recipe for disaster. I also believe that, you know, when you observe the times that humans lived before we had all this infrastructure built up, all these houses and neighborhoods and things like that. We were communal, we were tribal, right? And we did that because it was easier to survive when you lived in a community or a tribe than out in the wild by yourself. And as we've evolved, we've gained a lot of independence, and people take a lot of pride at being independent, right? But maybe it's possible that too much independence is not a good thing, right? What's wrong with relying on some of your friends or family to help you out when you need it? You know, if someone enjoys cooking or cleaning or doing gardening, and you love, you know, making money or doing your business, whatever, then what's wrong with having something like that, you know? And so so that's kind of the underlying foundation of it. And then, you know, I got into crypto and Bitcoin in 2012, became obsessed, and I wanted to tell everybody. So I told all my friends and family, and by 2013, they're just like, dude, shut up. I don't want to hear about Bitcoin. I don't want to hear about crypto. And at first I tried to get them on the idea of how much money you could make, because that's what I thought everyone would be interested in. And then they got sick of hearing that. They didn't really believe me. So then I was like, well, did you know that there's like half the people on this planet are unbanked or more? They're like, are you talking about crypto again? I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm talking about like the fact that, you know, this could change. No, just shut up, Kyle. It's crypto. Like, they just wanted to talk about, you know, drama at work, reality TV, sports, whatever. And I didn't want to talk about those things, right? So I was surrounded by people that loved and cared about me. However, I felt totally isolated, and like I was banging my head against the wall. I couldn't talk to anybody. And that's what happens like when you're really passionate about something, and you can't be surrounded by people with a like-minded environment. Yes, we have online communities, and you can get somewhat relief there, but there's something different about being physically in a group of people that you can express yourself and talk about things. That's a whole different story. So I've been in crypto since 2012 and built and did a lot of different things. And at the beginning of 2016, I had been working my ass off and you know, Bitcoin got to a point where I could was financially free. I didn't have to work anymore if I didn't want to. And so I decided to take some time off from being active in the space and just kind of figuring out what I was going to do. But I was always still passively observing the crypto space and very, very interested, still investing in things like that. And by the end of 2017, I saw what was going on with the ICO craze and became incredibly concerned with the way that things were going. Like, a lot of really bad projects were raising a lot of money, and a lot of good projects weren't raising any money, and that was a problem. Also, you stop hearing the important things like decentralized and open and public, permissionless. You know, people will start talking about blockchain, not crypto, or STOs are the new thing, not ICOs. And this is mixed messaging, and it's actually, you know, not the intention of what blockchain and crypto it should be. So not only did I become incredibly concerned about the potential adoption of our space, and I didn't see enough people speaking out against this. I didn't see enough people correcting people when they were talking about the wrong things. People were very diplomatic and just, I didn't see a whole lot of people getting up there and being like Andres Antonopoulos or something, who are actually telling people how the fuck it is, you know, how things should be. And also, and my own personal life, you know, even though I was well off and I could do anything in the world I wanted to, I was actually like 2 of the worst years of my life on like a personal level. I became bored and just really also frustrated by the fact that I couldn't talk to people. And so I decided that I would go back to a crypto conference in 2018. And so I went to Chiang Mai in Thailand and went to Tokenomics conference. And the second I sat down at a table full of people that were in crypto, and we could just chat about the things that I wanted, and everybody knew what I was talking about, the same memes, the same jokes, relating to everything. It was like an entire world of everything, frustration, and everything just lifted off my shoulders instantly. And I felt at home, right? I felt at home in this community. And I was only supposed to be in Chiang Mai for like 5 days or whatever for this conference. And I didn't want to go back home. I didn't want to go back to the States. So I stayed in Thailand, and then I stayed in the crypto community, and then I never really went back to the old life. For 2018 and most of 2019, I was on a plane the whole time, going from one conference to the next conference, and that became, it's not sustainable, right? I mean, it costs a lot of money, it's exhausting. So I thought, well, I'm ready to, and also my network became massive. So I felt, well, I don't want to keep going to conferences, or I don't need to go to as many, but I still want to be in the same community, right? So I thought, well, maybe we can create a community at a place that I love of like-minded people, and we can build really cool disruptive technology together, and we can create like this hippie commune kind of thing, but instead of having to be poor and plant vegetables and farm and do things and sell art, things like that, I mean, that's fine, that can be part of the community, but the purpose should be, change the world through building disruptive technology and then making a lot of money doing it at the same time, right? So this is the idea kind of House of DAO, is to build these communities around the world that you can live and work from anywhere in the world and still have family dinner at night. It's this tribal, communal kind of thing, where we all have a like-minded mindsets, and we all share the same purpose of building a bunch of disruptive technology. And, back to the whole thing when I was talking about regulation and this mixed messaging and stuff, if we can build a lot of disruptive technology at the same time, it will help with adoption, and it'll prevent things like regulation and things like that from putting up roadblocks, right? And it just will be too big to fail at that point, I feel like. So that's the idea behind House of DAO. And right now I'm in Copenhagen, Thailand. And it's a beautiful place here. There's no corona here. Like, life is good. It's actually paradise on earth. And we actually have quite a big crypto community too. Just within 1 minute walking of my villa here, there's like 5 other villas like full of crypto and developers and things like that. So it's nice.
Nice.
That's House of DAO.
So would you say it's kind of like a crypto co-living space where anybody in crypto can come and live and work together in the same house?
Yeah, so we're actually, my goal is not to do in a house, but more build like a village, where you have because I mean, so the dream is really to have a property that is a community in itself. It's fairly large, and on that property you have like single bedroom bungalows. You've got 2 and 3 bedroom villas for like families. You've got hotel style accommodation or condo style accommodation for, incubatees, projects that you're accelerating, people that are coming more for short term. Also like a conference center where you can fit 200-300 people in there for thought leadership workshops or summits, things like that. There would be a co-working center that's on the edge of the property that is for people outside of the community to come and co-work there as well as people that are inside the community to do that as well. We would also have a school, for the kids, because I want this to be a long term. I want people. This is a whole lifestyle, right? I want families to grow up in this thing. I want kids to be raised differently with the mindset of, education is a whole nother topic altogether. Like, I believe that we should educate people strictly on basically whatever they're passionate about, right? Like, don't waste your time, going until you're 18, learning things you don't care about. Now we have access to the internet and unlimited information. Let kids learn about what they're passionate about and then teach them how to monetize their passions, right? Like, if you can teach a kid to learn how to figure things out themselves, and then how to monetize whatever they're passionate about, and then also scale that as large or as small as they want to, depending on what their lifestyle demands, then that's going to be a very, very, most likely that'll be a very happy child and happy adult, because they'll know how to do what they love and get paid for it, And so, so that's kind of House of DAO, is this idea of really disrupting everything. And it was, this is one of the reasons I left America, because America is built in a way that it is a system that was built to be non-disruptible. The way that it's designed, like, good luck getting voting put on a blockchain. It's not going to happen. You go to the politicians and you're like, yeah, let's put voting on a blockchain. That sounds fancy. And then you're like, yeah, you can be transparent and everything. They're like, hold up. What's this bit about being transparent? Like, that's not gonna fly. And so I want to build, and also have experiment with different governance models, right? Like DAO structures and things like that within our communities around the world.
So how can people get involved? Let's say somebody wants to join House of DAO. What's the process?
Sure. So, it's a fairly ambitious project, and it's really what I need. I'm open to any, like, House of DAO is, again, something that I'm doing because I want to live in this community and I want to exist. And also, to make things clear too, last 2018, the second part of the year, I took over a property here in Copenhagen that was 35 villas on a mountaintop, and we closed it down to public. It was a hotel before, and we opened up a community. We did this already, right? One of your partners, Hen Global, came by and spent some time there, and it was very nice having him. And we also had about 100 other guests, including several influencers, Coinbase, like Willy Woo. We had a lot of people that came through, and almost every single one of them said, "Man, this is what I've been looking for." Because we're all nomadic. We're, like, most of us crypto people, like, I can't tell you how many people I meet and I say, where are you from? They're like, "Oh, I'm decentralized." Awesome. Cool. Like, I like that. Yeah. Let's us too. So basically, how people can get involved in a lot of different ways. We need people that want to do this as well, that want to join us in what we're doing and come and help us grow this, scale this thing out. We need money. We need talents. We need everything. We want. There's a lot that I want to do, and the faster that we do it, the faster that we can help really change the world, build cool things. So there's a lot of opportunities to get involved. If someone just wants to be a resident, you can go to the website houseofdao.io, and we have like a founding members program right now where we will accept people right now on a pre-registration, and there's an opportunity depending on how much they want to put in or what their interest is. We can also offer some equity up for, like, mostly when you invest in something, there's a lot of minimums for investors, right? Like talking $20,000, whatever. I mean, in the ICO times, there wasn't, but we created these syndicates in order to get past that, right? But what we want to do is give everyone an opportunity to be part of what we're doing. And right now, it's not the best time to raise money for co-working, co-living. I mean, I believe that, people are, all the VCs and things like that are a bit hesitant to deploy capital into co-working now. You have the WeWork thing that failed, or is having a really difficult time. And you also have no one really knows when the world's going to open up to travel again. But what I do believe is going to be a result from this whole Corona situation is what it has done is it accelerated the whole digital nomad thing by 10 years. We were starting to allow people to not have to go into the office as much to do work, but now nobody goes to the office to do work. And pretty soon corporations are going to be like, "Man, why are we paying $100,000 a month for office space when we're functioning just as well when everyone's working from home? Like, let's not make people come to the office anymore." And then people can be free to work and live anywhere in the world, work and live anywhere in the world and be more nomadic. So I believe that if anything, this is very, very good for what we're building.
All right, so I've pulled up the video to House of DAO. So here, I'll display it because I think it will give people a better perspective. Aura is ready. Wow, quite the video. So in that video,
was it the first time you saw it?
No. But
okay.
My audience for sure is the first time that they've watched this. So in that video,
Sure.
you have ToneVase, you have Crypto. I think you have Shill9 and some other crypto people there as well. I mean, definitely looks like a ton of fun. As somebody who's been to Thailand and to Koh Phangan, I know it's a great island, great place to be.
Oh, you came out here?
Yeah, back in 2018, at the peak of the bull run.
Uh-huh.
So
Life
definitely great
good
times.
back then, huh?
Yeah, because I was there for the full moon party. And,
Okay. Yeah, I took ToneBase to the full moon party.
Nice.
He was up there doing pull-ups around above some fire and stuff like that.
Yeah. All right. Well, best of luck with that. Okay. So then tell us about the Crypto Alliance, because liquidity in crypto is a very big problem, and you're also trying to tackle that problem. So tell us why liquidity is a problem and why that's stopping crypto from going mainstream and getting mass adoption.
Sure. So yeah, this whole project was basically reverse engineered out of the first idea that I was talking about before of self-regulation. And, you know, people often ask, like, why don't we yet have adoption? You know, we have a lot of people who are getting frustrated by how long it's taking for crypto to be adopted on a massive level. And people started building consumer-facing products, and they're feeling like, why aren't consumers using our products? They're way better they're more efficient, they're better, they've got good economics built into it. Why aren't people using this? Much better than legacy systems. Well, the reason is because the public majority, unless you're in crypto, people look at us a little bit weird. People still think that, you know, we're just buying drugs and you know, and all kinds of, like, you know, illegal things or whatever, or, you know, they hear about scams and cons and then, so in 2017 and 18, well, mostly 18 and a lot of 19, a lot of the negative publicity came from scams, ICOs, and exchanges. Since ICOs don't really exist too much anymore, most of the negative publicity comes from exchanges, the Quadrigas and the BitGrails and the Cryptopias and blah, blah, blah. So, and then I would see some influencers or some people go out in the street and they'd ask people, like, you know, random people in the street, hey, what do you think about crypto? And people are just like, isn't that a scam? Or like, is that still around? Or I don't know about that, you know. So on a massive level, who we want to adopt this stuff, they don't trust us yet, you know, and rightfully so, right? There's been a lot of damage done by this industry amongst people who have come and given it a chance. And that's because, you know, we were unregulated for a long time. A lot of people took advantage of it. And so I had this idea of creating a self-regulatory organization, really, and starting with exchanges, because that's where most of the negative publicity came from. But in order to do an SRO, you need to have the participants willing to be audited, essentially, right? And right now, and then I found out, if you go ask an exchange, if you can have someone go audit them and like see their books and you know, see if they meet best practices and standards, they're going to be like, nope. Yeah. And then if you ask them to pay you to do that, they're going to laugh at you and tell you to get out of here. You know?
Yeah, they'll be like, hell no.
There's no way. There's no way. So then I had it. So, you know, and I was never, you know, as an investor, like, I've always been long. You know, I wasn't ever. So I didn't spend a whole lot of time on exchanges. I didn't really understand the exchange landscape. I didn't care too much about it. But it forced me to learn about it, because this is what I wanted to tackle. You know, was the publicity thing, really. And so then I figured out, okay, well, why don't you want to be transparent? Oh, okay. So you're wash trading. What does wash trading mean? Okay, so that means you're making fake volume in order to make an appearance to the public that you actually have more traders on your platform than you actually do, in order to then get projects to list on your exchange for huge fees, because they think that there's going to be a lot of activity from their assets on your exchange. Or your other revenue model is going to be getting these projects to do an IEO on your exchange, because, again, they think that there's a lot of trading volume and action on there. And in reality, it's not. You know, in reality, 90% plus of volume is fake in the space. And you know, not all exchanges that are doing fake volume are doing it because they're bad actors, right? They're doing it because everybody else is doing it. And if you don't want to look like you are just the worst company in the world, you kind of have to do it just to keep up. You know, even if your intentions are good, even if you're not charging large listing fees or doing shady IEOs, you might just do it just to try to get legitimate traders on your platform. But this is obviously a problem. And we also have a lot more crypto exchanges in the world, or at least as many as you do stock exchanges, right? You've got thousands of crypto exchanges out there. And how can you have as many crypto exchanges as you do, or if not more than traditional exchanges, when you have significantly less volume than you do in the traditional world? Well, that means that you have an extreme lack of liquidity. And in order for an exchange to have a legitimate business model, they should be making the majority of their revenue from trading fees, and that means that they have to have real active traders on their exchange and generating trading fees from those traders. Well, when it comes down to opening up an exchange these days, you have a significant barrier to entry. It's this chicken and the egg problem, right? You can open an exchange and say, we're open for business, right? Nobody's gonna come try you. Nobody's gonna come try you. You have to spend a significant marketing capital in order to get your name out there. But what's gonna happen if you try to do it in a legitimate way is let's say that you spend some money on marketing, traders are gonna come to your platform because marketing works. But what they're gonna do is they're gonna place a trade on your platform and it's never gonna get filled. It's like when DEXs first came into the market, or even today. I mean, Ian, you probably tried to use a DEX before. You probably placed an order. You probably sat there and like, man, it's like ever going to get filled, and it just doesn't. So you have to cancel your order and get the hell out of there, and you never went back to that exchange ever again. So this is the barrier to entry that exchanges face right now, and it's a really big problem. There are solutions for liquidity that exist today, but they're antiquated. They're archaic. They have not innovated since exchanges have been created. And if you want to use a liquidity provider, there's two ways that you can get liquidity onto an exchange. One, you can pay someone like GSR or something like that, who's a market maker, who will come to your platform. They will supply you with the assets of which you want liquidity for. They will charge you an upfront fee, which is pretty significant usually. And they will also charge you interest on the assets that they were letting your platform borrow while they're market making for you. Now, this is typically cost prohibitive for a new exchange because, yes, while you're having the market making service and you start to onboard your customers, they will probably be satisfied with the liquidity because you have market makers on your platform. But it takes a long time to try to acquire hundreds of thousands of users in order to create a self-sufficient ecosystem. So a lot of exchanges might have to spend upward of $1 million to $2 million to $3 million, or sometimes even more, just in liquidity costs in order to try to create a self-sustaining ecosystem of traders where they can remove the liquidity providers and just have enough self-sufficient liquidity on their exchange. It's really, really difficult. And what this has done is it really creates a massive barrier to entry for exchanges. And so what the majority of people think is going to happen right now is they think there's going to be a massive consolidation of exchanges, right? They think that 98% of them will fail and that we will be left with one or two major exchanges in a country or less, in the world. So if you believe this is true, you have an old world mindset. It doesn't align with crypto blockchain ethos, right? We believe in democratizing things. The ICOs democratize investing, right? Like, we want to democratize things. Competition is healthy. Competition is good for the people. So how do you mitigate this problem? So we already established that traditional liquidity providing isn't a good solution. The other way to do it is you can create what a lot of exchanges will do is they will have a trading bot or an arbitrage bot. And what they can do is they can tap into an API from a larger exchange and mirror the order book of the larger exchange onto their order book. And then what happens is they can onboard, then their customers see the same order book as a larger exchange. So then they go to place an order. More than likely the counterparty or the person that would fill that order is not going to be on that exchange. So they're going to have to then take their bots and go to the larger exchange, buy the order from the larger exchange, and then sell it to their customer. So that could work, right? Sounds okay. But the problem with that is that they have to pay the trading fee on the larger exchange for the trade that they bought. And then they get to make the trading fee from the trader on their exchange that they sold it to. So that cancels out any revenue or profit that they might have made. So it is a solution to satisfy traders. However, you're not making any money. So again, if you want to try to onboard hundreds of thousands of customers, that's a long time of not generating revenue in order to, I mean, you have to have a significant runway and a huge marketing budget in order to try to do something like that. So again, it's not an efficient way to have liquidity. No other solutions exist. So what are we going to do? So this is where Crypto Exchange Alliance comes in, right? So what we're doing, the most efficient exchange in the world is one that has a ton of liquidity. I mean, millions and millions of customers, something like NASDAQ, New York Stock Exchange, that has a self-sufficient ecosystem where they have a lot of liquidity, very, very low spread, and it's just a very, very efficient machine. You know, you've got just so many things, your orders are never sitting on books. And the exchange landscape doesn't look like that. I mean, Binance is probably very good. Huobi's probably very good. Like, these guys have sufficient liquidity, but the majority of exchanges do not. So what we're attempting to do is create infrastructure for exchanges that allows them all to connect on the back end, and the way and connect on the back end to create a global order book. So that is where we take all of the buy and sell orders from all of the exchanges that are in our alliance and aggregate them into one global order book that then feed all the orders into each of these exchanges so that they're seeing all the orders in CEA's global order book, which is a representation of all of the buyers and sellers in the entire ecosystem. And so what happens, I'll tell you the way it works. We also have a cross-exchange order matching engine that it's an engine that allows a trader on one exchange to have their order filled by another trader on another exchange. And so the way that it works is, like, let's say that you have an order placed on exchange A, for example. If that order can be filled natively on exchange A, it is. And that exchange takes their normal maker and taker fees, and life goes on as usual. We're not involved. But if that order placed on exchange A cannot be filled on exchange A, then it looks to the global order book to see if there's a matching order on another exchange. If there is, let's say it's on exchange D, our engine will execute the trade on both exchanges, and the user's accounts, the trader's accounts, will be adjusted for that trade. And then they don't know any better, right? Those traders have no idea that their order was filled by a counterparty on another exchange. They don't care. But what happens in this situation, what's different than it happening natively on one exchange is, let's say it's a Bitcoin and Ethereum trading pair. Well, you have to be able to reconcile the assets in each exchange. So in this situation, exchange A probably now owes exchange D some Bitcoin, and D probably owes exchange A some Ethereum. So we also run a federated sidechain run by all the exchanges that keep track of all the transaction information for every trade executed through CEA. It also keeps track of all the KYC and AML information in order to have cross-jurisdiction compliance with things like the FATF and FinCEN travel rule. And it also keeps track of the net balances of each exchange and how much they owe each other. And it's kind of like a lightning network for exchanges, right? So you have a bunch of exchanges that are passing back and forth value all day long without actually anything happening on chain. But we all know that now everyone's going to owe each other some assets, and there's going to be time for settlement. So then there's going to be a settlement that occurs where all the exchanges send each other assets they owe each other in order to essentially settle. So what this does is it allows, what the intention is one, removing middlemen, right? So even though we don't consider ourselves decentralized, we're still removing middlemen from the equation, and we're allowing exchanges to trade peer-to-peer without us being in the middle of it. And our goal is to allow anybody in the world to be able to open an exchange and at no cost plug into what we built and have instant access to liquidity. So you break down that massive barrier to entry. And what I would love to see is a world full of exchanges. Like, for example, let's say that you have a businessman in Ethiopia or Uganda or something, which is a very poor country. Mm-hmm. But maybe this businessman has like 1,000 people in his business network, and all of them have a little bit of investable income. Well, it would be great. And also, like, nobody can market to that demographic better than that local businessman can, right? Nobody's going to know the language. Nobody's going to know the jokes, and the culture, and the design. and be able to bring on those customers like that guy can. So it would be nice if that guy could open an exchange, onboard those 1,000 customers, and not have to worry about if there's enough liquidity on his exchange for them to be satisfied. If they can onboard and he still gets to represent one side of the transaction, he's still generating revenue from all of those trades from his customers. And maybe that's enough money for him and his family to have a nice life, you know, and that also benefits the larger exchanges because it brings them more users. So larger exchange gets to represent the other side of that transaction, meaning that they're also doing more volume. We've created an ecosystem that's a win-win for everybody with no barriers to entry. And it's a really actually brilliant model.
Awesome. I mean, I definitely think what you're doing is great. So I have joined the Crypto Exchange Alliance myself as an advisor. So it's a pleasure being on board. Now there is no tokens. This is just a pure company doing something good in the space. And I think there's definitely lots of ways for even us at Token Metrics to possibly work together, because down the road, we are planning to build our own robo-advisors, and being able to have liquidity in crypto is huge, very, very huge. Yeah. So, I mean, I definitely recommend everybody go check out the project. It's cryptoexchangealliance.com or
it's actually just exchangealliance.io.
Okay, exchangealliance.io.
Exchange Alliance. Yeah.
So go out there, check it out. All right, so let's now hop into the AMA. We have some questions here from our audience. Let me just pull that up here. All right. So first question, somebody's saying, hi, what do you think about ToneVase and others getting their YouTube channels shut down? Do you think people should migrate to different platforms? What's your take on this, Kyle?
Okay, well, first question is what do I think about ToneVase?
No. So it's about ToneVase's channel got shut down by.
Okay.
Right. Now the channel is back up online. So he's asking, what do you think about channels getting shut down by for having crypto content, right? Because it seems.
I got you. No, I got you. Okay. Yeah.
Go ahead.
But on the record, I really like ToneVase, even though I know that can be very blunt and but I think that's all part of his brand. Like when he first came to visit us, by the way, when we first picked him up from the boat, I was just trying to talk to him, and he was just very one-worded, I guess he's whatever. But then when he interviewed me and found out what I was about, he realized that I was like for real, and what I was doing was, and he became very, very nice. Just opened up. We have the same birthday. He's took him to the full moon party. I actually really like ToneVase. So, but about the YouTube channel, I just also started my own YouTube channel. I'm really. There's two things I wanted to do in the space: is help it evolve in the right direction, educate. And so that's why I've been public speaking and doing conferences, but now I just recently started a YouTube channel. So I definitely know the nuances or the complexities or the trouble that's coming here. In fact, Carl the Moon and M Crypto, they're just literally in the house right behind me right now. So
nice.
And yeah, so I think that definitely, I was just actually talking about this last night. I really, it's such a hard thing to do to move to a different platform, because we need the viewers, right? Someone who's dedicating so much time and effort to making content also wants to be rewarded for it. There's not a lot of people out there that are doing it, and even if you aren't trying to get rewarded from it monetarily, you still want people to view your content. No one wants to put out content that no one watches, and so it's a very, very difficult and tricky situation. I absolutely feel like we need a decentralized media outlet. And I know people are working on it, right? The question is, how do we migrate everybody to these platforms? I'm not sure, Ian, maybe you can tell me whatever happened with this, dude, I don't follow this guy. Is it PewDiePie? Didn't someone pay him?
Yeah.
Didn't someone pay him a shit ton of money to go to some platform, and whatever happened to that?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't followed that much as well. All I know is he joined DLive and he also joined Mixer. So he had Mixer, not Mixer, but some platform owned by, I believe Microsoft, that just sponsored him to join the platform. So now he's streaming on several platforms. He still has some stuff up on YouTube, but he's on several platforms. Now, I mean, my take on this, I don't really think any of the decentralized platforms for video will ever take off. So I believe if you're an influencer or somebody creating content online, you have to own the list, right? So in marketing, the term is the money is in the list, right? The money is in the email list. So meaning that doesn't matter what platform you're on, if you have the email list, you can always migrate your audience to a different platform, right? Because platforms come and go. MySpace died, Vine died. Some platforms can come and go. So you never want to attach yourself to just one platform. That's why since day one, from doing our live streams, we've always been doing several live streams. Like this is going out to 2 YouTube channels, 2 Twitter channels. It's also going out onto 2 Facebook channels. Also gets turned into a podcast. So our audience can access us in lots of different platforms. So if one goes down, no issue, right? So, and I think that's the mindset other people should have. So I spoke with Ivan on Tech, and I told him, hey, you have to get a podcast. And I think after the whole issues began happening with the different platforms trying to censor crypto, now he has a podcast. So I think any influencer out there, diversify your message into several platforms.
Well, why don't you think that a decentralized outlet would work?
Well, it's basically chicken and the egg problem. So kind of like liquidity, right? So as much as people hate YouTube, the audience is on YouTube, right? That's where the views are. Like most of our views are there. If we migrate to a different platform, yes, it's decentralized, but there's nobody there. There are no eyeballs there. So until people really go there, and even with those platforms, in a way, they're still centralized. They aren't really decentralized, right? They aren't fully decentralized. They aren't like on a desktop, right?
Maybe not yet.
Yeah, not yet. So they aren't quite like BitTorrent. They all have centralized websites where you go there and you access them.
But I guess then like you could take your response and compare it to say Bitcoin, right? Where the same thing could be said about Bitcoin, where you say, well, the users just aren't there right now. But most of us in this industry anticipate that with enough reason, eventually, like even when we talk about Libra or like central bank digital dollars, right? Like what I usually tell people when people ask me about that is like, what do you think about central bank digital dollars or Libra? You know, and my response is like, bring it on, you know, because what it's going to do is it's going to get people used to paying with their cell phone. You know, in America and in a lot of Western civilizations, we went from cash to cash and check to credit cards, and that's very convenient. To be able to swipe your card anywhere is extremely convenient. You know, you take somebody like China who didn't ever have credit cards, they went from cash to cell phones, you know, and so they're already used to paying with QR codes, right? We're not. So what Libra would do and what central bank digital dollars would do, because they have, if Facebook launches as Libra, they already have a user base, right? That would be the equivalent of like, well, I don't even know, but basically, I mean, it would be even better infrastructure than US dollars or whatever. Everyone has instant messenger, you know, and to be able to pay with Messenger to other people, it's just very, very convenient. But what that will do is it will get people used to using these things. And then when people's rights start being violated enough, when Facebook changes their terms of service and user policy to when they start using your financial data to influence you in certain ways, or they start censoring your payments saying, Kyle, you can't send Ian money. And I say, why not? Like, I just want to, you know, I just want to give him $5 because he's a handsome guy or whatever, you know, like, then they'll whatever. Like I've been banned from PayPal. I've been banned from Western Union. I've been banned from MoneyGram. Oh, wow. I've been banned from Green Dot, MoneyPack, like all because I've been doing business internationally. This is before crypto, you know, so I know banks have banned me from starting to deal with crypto early on. So I know the frustrations of centralized payment gateways, and that was enough for me to say, screw all of you. I'm going to something that's censorship resistant, you know, that can't control. Like, I mean, one time I was doing business with a guy in China and I was sending him some money, and I had already done it several times before. And I get a call while I'm at the gym from Western Union, and they're like, yeah, we just want to call you about a transaction you just made to Mr. So-and-so. I'm like, yeah, what about it? They're like, this is just our like consumer protection program. Like, we want to make sure that you're not, giving any money to a scammer. I'm like, okay, no, thanks. No, I know this guy. I've done business. She's like, well, how well do you know him? I'm like, well, enough to know that I've done business with them before. And like, okay, well, and they started asking me about 20, 30 different questions and everything. And I knew what they were doing. And so I answered every single question with the intent of proving that it wasn't a scam and that I trusted this guy and that I wanted my money to go to him. Please finalize the transaction and let me move on with my life. After all these questions, they're like, okay, well, thanks for answering these questions. We're going to refund the money to you, and please pick it up at your nearest Western Union. And by the way, you can never use their service again. Like, what the hell did you ask me all these questions for if that was going to be the answer regardless? It was such bullshit. Like, so yeah. So anyway, I guess.
But I mean, so to kind of play devil's advocate, though, I mean, banks in America, especially in America, have so much regulation. Right? Maybe that person was flagged for suspicious activity and they had to file a SARS report. So maybe they were just having you help them with that, right? But I mean, I think it's pretty crazy how banks can just, because same thing happened with my friend Ugo, business partner. This was during the crypto bull run. I think Chasse just shut down his bank, and they sent him. Yeah. They shut down his bank and mailed him a check, and he's like, "What the hell?"
Dude, you know what Bank of America did to me. So, Bank of America, I had an old business that didn't work out, and I had an account in that business name. And I didn't bother renewing the registration or anything because I wasn't doing business under that name anymore, but my account was still in that name. And so then Bank of America closed down my account without any notice or reason why or anything like that. And they said, yeah, no, we mailed you your money back in a check. I was like, okay, well, where'd you mail it to? They're like, oh, the address that we had on file. I was like, I don't live in America anymore. They're like, oh. I'm like, can you please cancel that check and send one to my mother's house? Like, oh, no, we can't do that. I'm like, what do you mean you can't do that? They're like, oh, well, our policy is that we have to wait 90 days after issuing a check in order to then cancel it and reissue a new one. I'm like, you're the bank. You can't just cancel your own check? Or you would say, like, why? Sorry, sir, that's our policy. Okay, like, so I had to wait 90 days after they issued the check in order to request a new check to be sent out. And then they sent me a new check to my mother's address, and then I didn't get back to the States for some time more. And then I go to the bank, and Bank of America, first of all, wouldn't cash their own check for me. So I had to go, they're like, you have to take this to a bank that you have your account there.
This is crazy.
I was like, okay. So then I went to Capital One where I have an account, and they're like, yeah, we can't cash this check. It's written out to your company. I was like, I don't have this company anymore. It doesn't exist. So like that's not registered. They're like, oh, well, we can't help you. So then I go back to Bank of America and I was like, yeah, can you guys just please cash a check for me? I don't, or can you rewrite it in my name? No, sir. Like we have to write it to the name of the account, the business. I was like, what the hell do you want me? How am I supposed to get? It was like $8,000. I'm like, how am I supposed to cash this out? It was insane. Like what I had, there was no way I could do this. I either had to go register a new company in California with the same legal name, go pay $1,000 and like that to go through this registration process. And I was only visiting my mom for Christmas or something. Like I wasn't supposed to be there. I wasn't going to be there for a long time. So finally I got to like, I went to Bank of America. I sat down at the manager's desk. I said, I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving here until we resolve this. Like,
yeah.
I was like, you can call whoever you want, but this is bullshit. Like you guys closed my account without letting me know. And you have my money. It's my money. And you have to figure out a way to give it to me. You guys issued this check from the money in my account. Just give me the damn money. And so like finally, after several days of talking to management and escalating and blah, 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 finally some guy's like, all right, like I really had to pull some strings for you. Like I really went out on a limb and really did like go to this branch 4 cities away and talk to so-and-so and like they'll cash it for you. It's like, thank God. So finally got that done. But like, these are the nightmares that people have to deal with on a regular basis. There's, on my YouTube channel the other day, I talked about this homeless man who was like something happened with his flight. He got stuck at LAX for several months while Corona started escalating. And there was this family from Orange County who felt really bad for him. And so they opened up a GoFundMe and PayPal. And they raised like $7,000 or $12,000 for this guy. Dude, the guy's homeless with a dog in LAX. Some really nice people pulled together, some friends and family and public, and raised some money for this guy to help him get it. And he was also had a lot of like health issues, had like seizure, like epilepsy and like some other things. And like, you know, the guy was just obviously not very independent, and PayPal wouldn't give him his money. He couldn't get his money out of PayPal. They're like, no, it was the same story, on and on and on and on. I don't think he still hasn't got his money yet. You know, like incredible. These are the things that prove a need for, I mean, I was like, damn, if like I would have just had a QR code up and like send me some Bitcoin, guy would have been eating the steak the next night, you know?
I mean, I think stories like that are what people need to hear to hop on the crypto bandwagon, right? Because that's just BS.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So where can people find your channel?
Sure. So yeah, on my YouTube is new, but I would love people to check it out. It's just my name, which is like Kyle and then Chassé, Chasse.
All right. So let's go show his channel some love. Please subscribe. He has an interview here with Carl the Moon, Crypto, and Diddy. Basically the Bitcoin family. So go subscribe and just thumbs up his content. All right.
Thank you, Ian.
So let's go to the next question here.
Okay.
Let me just pull this up here. Okay, I think somebody's asking about stablecoins. We kind of already answered this, our take on stablecoins already. Okay, so we have here we go. We have a conspiracy theory for you.
Yes.
All right, so hey Kyle, what do you think about QAnon? 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 I personally have
coin.
Coin?
Is yeah, but read the rest of the question. I think it's coin from, are they talking about liquid exchange?
No, it's a conspiracy theory. It's called QANON. I haven't heard of this.
QAnon. Yeah, QAnon. Yeah.
QAnon. What is that? And what's your take on it?
I actually, I wish, okay, so I all I could say is I wish I knew more. I know about QAnon. I know that, but I don't know enough to give a valid opinion about this. I heard that he was making some really powerful statements, some good predictions and things like that, but I really don't know enough about the context to, I wish I could give you an answer, but I don't know.
Okay, so here, I just pulled this up on Wikipedia. So let me just read this. So QAnon is a far-right conspiracy theory detailing a supposed secret plot by an alleged deep state against US President Donald Trump and his supporters. The theory began with an October 2017 post on 4chan by someone using the name Q and presumably American individual, but probably later a group of people claiming to have access to classified information involving the Trump administration and its opponents in the US. Q has falsely accused many liberal Hollywood actors, Democratic politicians, and high-ranking officials of engaging in international child sex trafficking. Okay, so this seems like the Epstein thing. Okay, so maybe let's talk about Epstein. What's your take on that?
Well, no, actually, I would actually. So even though I can't talk about what QAnon exactly, but I can tell you what I think about that whole issue. Like, Trump was not supposed to win that election. You know, like I believe that most presidents are installed into the office. You know, that is all planned out. Like, they know who's going to be president before anybody else does. And Trump was not supposed to win that election, right? What happened was Trump has a lot of money and also used some very, very powerful tactics, right? I mean, I'm not sure if you've seen The Great Hack or not. Our good friend Brittany Kaiser, you know, the whistleblower for this whole thing. But you know, this is the whole issue with the Trump administration using Cambridge Analytica data from Facebook in order to find out who the people were in the swing states that were borderline not sure who they were going to vote for, and were able to manipulate them into voting for Trump. So without that, he wouldn't have won. Hillary was supposed to be in office, right? So, and I think that, like, I'm not into U.S. politics at all, but I think that it's funny. You know, whatever people feel about Trump, like I'm neither a supporter nor a hater. Like, I just think that is funny. Like, I think that one thing is for sure is he is just doing things his own way, you know, and that's fine, you know, whatever. And, you know, maybe it's better than the way that thing, because if Hillary would come in office, it would have been very boring. That's for sure. Like, she would have been very by the book. You know, it would have been really, like, Trump is not boring. It makes me laugh. You know, whenever I watch something from him, he just
reality show every day.
You know, So I probably, you know, not knowing enough about QAnon, I would probably have to agree, like, on my theories alone, that, you know, that the powers that be did not want Trump to come in office. And so that fucked up their plans a bit, whatever they were. But I really believe that the entire U.S. political system is just a puppet show.
Yeah, I mean,
for the most part.
I agree as well. I mean, that's why I'm not really into politics, even though my parents are, and even though I'm based here in DC. But to me, politics, because regardless of who's in power, my life keeps on living, right? Because being here locally based in DC, like, every presidential candidate or every president, the other side says is the devil or the next Hitler, right? People said Obama was Muslim and a terrorist, and it was the end of the world. Then when Trump came into power, people said that he's Hitler, you know, it's the end of the world. Then the same thing happened with George Bush, right? So to me, I'm done with playing the game, right? So
it's so ridiculous. Like, first of all, why do we have to have one extreme left and one extreme right, and we get two ding dongs to choose from every election? Like, why? You know, an independent can never win. It's just not possible, right? Yeah. So you get, at the end of the day, you have two people to choose from out of the whole entire United States population. And so that is a big problem in the very, very beginning of this whole thing. And we know it's not a true democracy. Like, we know that there's no transparency. We know that there's a lot of manipulation. But yeah, no, what you said, like, your parents being political, my aunts are extremely political. Like, I don't really go on social media very much, but if I do happen to, like, go and look at Facebook for a second, or see like I just see my aunts out there just very, like, aggressive political statements, and I'm just going, what do you feel like, you know, getting so worked up over something, you know, that's really you have no power over, like, and then people start hating each other. You know, they start really hating each other because of difference of opinions, and really it is all a facade. You know, at the end of the day, both you and I both agree, like, nothing ever really changes.
Yeah. Well said.
But I like conspiracies.
Okay, so next question is more of a coin question. So let me make it more general. So what are your favorite projects right now, or what projects do you invest in or hold in? Just kind of tell us which projects you love, basically.
Sure. So
obviously not financial advice.
Right, of course not. So you know, there's first of all, like, I just want to tell people that depends on what your investment strategy is, right? If you are a trader, it doesn't really matter what asset it is. Like, just go to Token Metrics and check out what they're doing, and, like, get your short-term advice there. You know, like, because that's based on technical analysis, some AI and ML, and, like, maybe a bit of fundamental analysis, things like that. But if you're long and you're in it for that 1000x or that 7000x, whatever, and you want to put your money in something that you think is going to actually have a use case in the world, you have to really understand what you're investing in, you know. And people, one of the biggest mistakes I see from people coming and putting money into a token is they don't even understand what token economics are, and they don't understand, you know, the economic design of that token and how it will be used. in the real world and what the purpose of it is. You know, like you can't just open an exchange and then have a token just because, and then say it's going to give your users discount on trading fees. That's a stupid reason to have a token. You know, it doesn't, it's pointless. Like, why not just give your traders a lower, your competitors just gonna open another exchange and have lower fees to start with without having to buy your stupid token in the first place. You know, so like that is a bad reason to have a token. So you have to understand the economics of that token and why it has true utility in that ecosystem. Like, what is it that's going to get people to want to not only get that token, but hold it, right? So look at things like staking and rewards and governance models and things that, you know, really creative things that you can do with tokens. So really look at, you know, and okay, so I'll give you an example. Like I was a big supporter of Dash. Initially, I ran a masternode for a long time, and Dash was very, very innovative. You know, they've created a DAO structure. They have a treasury model. They have their business runs like a normal company with a hierarchy of employees and things like that, CEO, but it is decentralized. And, you know, in order to make major systems to the governance, you have to go through voting system and things like that. It's created really well. But there was room for improvement, right? And so something like Energy, which was created by Tommy, actually here on Copenhagen, which oddly enough, or partly, it has a better governance model, better staking rewards, and they've also really moved ahead with the development of the technology in order to allow smart contracts and things like that. Also make it backward compatible with ERC and smart contracts, things like that. So I think that's a very good project, and I love like the fundamentals in which it was born. There was no ICO, there was no major fundraise. They just airdropped their tokens to their community and grew, and the growth has all been organic. Like that is a really true project, and I see a lot of potential in the long term with a project like that. To be clear and full disclosure, I actually don't own any Energy yet. It's been like I'm very slow to move on things. I've been thinking about getting Energy for a long time, and I'm busy, and so I haven't done it yet. But it's something that I've been really, really looking forward to probably taking a majority of my Dash and putting in Energy, at least half of it or something. So that's that. I think Monero is really interesting. I'll tell you why specifically, because even though the governments don't like it at all, and therefore they put pressure on a lot of exchanges to remove it from listing. Which removes liquidity, which is hard to get adoption, you know, for traders, and it potentially could hurt the price in the short term. But as we move toward a world where central bank digital dollars and digital fiat is the new normal, you start to look at a world that's very dystopian and very controlling and very scary and ugly. So the need for financial privacy is going to be more and more important. And when, you know, cash exists, and cash is kind of is nice in a way. Like it is anonymous, it is fungible. You can keep cash under the bed in case shit, right? In case shit happens, you got cash. When you have a central bank digital dollar and a digital US dollar, you don't get to have cash anymore, right? So if there's a thing like a bank run, for example, or that won't exist anymore anyway, because you can't pull cash out anymore. But if you owe taxes, or if you got a parking ticket, or if you wanted to buy some weed, you know, whatever, goodbye to your privacy with your finances, and hello to everything you do being viewed by the government. You know, that's what central bank digital dollars are looking like. So if you want privacy and you want to be able to send someone something because, you know, you got a service that maybe morally you are totally fine with, but maybe the federal government believes that that's illegal or wrong. You know, there's a lot of situations in the world where people do things that they think is moral. I'm going to smoke a joint. The federal government thinks it's wrong. You know, I want to go increase my my spirituality and go to you know, take some ayahuasca or something. The government says it's wrong. You know, I want whatever the case may be. You know, so if you want to, like, whenever I've talked to anybody who works for a 3-letter agency like FBI, CIA, whatever, or knows somebody that works with them or talks to them, whenever the case that they're investigating leads to Monero, it always ends there. Monero is absolutely untraceable, and this has been said publicly many times by different agencies. Bitcoin, like governments like Bitcoin. Why? Because Bitcoin's very, very traceable. You know, you can see exactly where Bitcoin goes all the time. It doesn't have a good privacy function built in yet. And unless you're very, very, very aware of how you know, most people don't understand how to protect their privacy with Bitcoin. You know, the second that you register your wallet address to your name, boom, they can always track your Bitcoin exactly where it goes all the time. And now you have things like Chain Analysis who's doing all this tracking for governments. So anyway, that's why I like Monero. And then there's a lot of projects that I've advised over time that I believe in as well. I mean, like, I would never advise a project I didn't think was going to do very, very well. And so, like, if you just go on our website, which is masterventures.io, you can see some of the projects that we've been advising. We don't really advise anymore, but because we're working on our own projects. But you know, I know that on your show, Ian, you have a lot of people who are like trying to make money and investors and things like that, you know. And so, you know, for me, I really believe in, like, you know, disruptive technology, and in a way, like, I really believe that from a purely investment point of view, if you're looking for investments, like something that's going to, I think, do really, really well in the future, even though I might not agree that it's like the best disruptive thing in the world, I think that XRP is going to be something that, like, really, really takes off. I mean, when you look at, they probably have the most real world adoption of any cryptocurrency in the world. I think by far. They've got like 300 partnerships with banks. They're part of Western Union, SBI. They're already doing everything in real life. Nobody else has gotten anywhere close to that. Ethereum actually is, I mean, I love, okay, also Ethereum. I also love Ethereum. Like, yeah. I also think Ethereum is also massive, right? So I think, like, I guess that's I also have like several other altcoins, but like that's, I guess, off the top of my head, those are kind of the ones that I would say.
So definitely recommend you go check out all those projects and our ratings on them at tokenmetrics.com.
Yeah. Right. I'd be curious, actually. I haven't looked to see what those ones are like, but I'm super curious now.
Well, I mean, Bitcoin and Ethereum are great projects, Okay, so we typically like to ask guests on the show a few questions. So let's go ahead and put you in the hot seat.
Okay.
All right. All right, so first up, outside your family and friends, tell us 3 people who have inspired you, past or present, in history.
Robert Kiyosaki, Andreas Antonopoulos, and Elon Musk.
Okay, can you kind of tell us why on each?
Yeah, so Robert Kiyosaki was, you know, he wrote Rich Dad Poor Dad, and when I was, I went through a time in my life when I really felt like I wanted to be completely in control of my life, be essentially the architect of my life, and I wanted to know how to figure shit out. I wanted to know how, like, you know, I wanted to know how I can do exactly what I want to do in life and do it myself. And so, like, you know, I read a lot of books by like Robert Cialdini of, like, you know, how to like influence people and how to, you know, how to, like, a lot of different things about just how to hack life, you know. And so Robert Kiyosaki was really the guy who taught me a lot about, you know, how messed up traditional way of understanding money was and the new way of looking at money. And so that was, I just really recommend like everyone reading Rich Dad Poor Dad, and probably, I haven't read any of his other books, but are probably also very good.
Yeah, classic book.
Yeah, and then Andreas Antonopoulos, by far, I think he's like the most passionate, well-spoken person in the crypto space that everybody should listen to. He's the one person that I thought, like, man, like I would like to be the Andreas Antonopoulos that is relatable to people that are outside of crypto. I want to be like, have the same type of messaging that he has, but I want to make it attractive more to like Gen X, Gen Z, millennials, because I think that maybe his presentation is maybe, like, I love it, right? I love it a lot, but it's probably a little bit maybe boring for people who are a bit younger. So I would like to be, so he's inspiring. And then Elon Musk, like, come on. I mean, the dude is just, I mean, he's an alien for sure. Like, there's no one else on the planet. Like you can't, how can you build like 6 or something different companies that are every single one of them are changing. If anyone built one of those companies in their life, they would be a legacy, right? Mm-hmm. But he's doing all of these things. He's changing the way that we interact with our brain and technologies, digging tunnels under the ground. He created the Hyperloop. He's making us intergalactic. He's making electric cars cool and affordable and things like that. So like, and he built a flamethrower, he converted it. He converted his Tesla factory into a ventilator. Ventilator, is that the word? Yeah. I mean, the dude's just insane. And he's a visionary, right? And I consider myself a visionary too. So he's someone that I look up to and think that, wow, like he thinks big and he executes, and I also have very ambitious goals and dreams. And like, so he's someone that just definitely inspires me.
All right, great. Okay, so next question. What are 3 books you've read that have inspired and changed your life?
Yeah, so I said Rich Dad Poor Dad, there was one that was called I think it's Robert Cialdini. It was How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Oh, that's Dale Carnegie.
Oh, okay, yeah. Sorry, the other one was I don't know what the other. Yeah, but yeah. So that was really great. Let's see. God, it's been a long time. So I read a lot, but reading a book. Let's see, and then. As far as like from a health perspective, there's a book called Eat to Live, which I thought was really important because part of House of Tao and what we're doing is trying to create superhumans, and you can't function at your best unless you're staying healthy and understanding. Like if you read Eat to Live, you will know more about nutrition and health than 99.9% of the doctors on the planet. It's really about, before crypto, I had a company called the Reverse Aging Institute, and it was all about regenerative medicine and anti-aging. Speaking of Trump, this billionaire I used to work with, we used to fly into New York, LaGuardia. We used to park the private jet that we flew in and next to Trump's jet in New York, like just park next to each other. But anyway, yeah, so we were, did this whole anti-aging regenerative medicine thing. And that was a really great book. It's important to take care of yourself. So I guess that's,
so it's called,
if I think of another one.
So Eat to Live, I've just pulled up the book here, The Amazing Nutrient-Rich Program for Fast and Sustained Weight Loss. That's the one by Joel Fuhrman.
Yeah, it's not really just, it's not really, I mean, maybe he does, maybe the clickbait, maybe the weight loss thing is clickbait, but it's definitely just about, mega dosing nutrition and understanding everything like that. So
we'll definitely check that out. Awesome. Cool. Awesome. Okay. Then last question in the hot seat. What are 3 actions you took that transformed your life and have changed it and taken you to the next level?
Okay. So the first thing I did in crypto and Bitcoin was I built a lottery that was based on Bitcoin called World Super Lotto. That was kind of my first thing I built in the industry in 2013. And that really was the first thing that got me into the community and really directed my life in that path. It's one thing to be involved or invest in Bitcoin or crypto, but it's another thing to actually be involved in the industry. And so that got me started, and that went to another thing, that went to another thing, that eventually led to where I am now. Another thing was leaving America, because I believe that, like I said, it would be very, very difficult to do the things that I want to do inside of America. Because I only got into a little bit of my vision, right? It's huge. There's a lot more to it. And then the other thing that I would say that changed my life in a big way was starting to use, microdosing on psychedelics like mushrooms or LSD. It's something that it might be controversial right now, but when you look at organizations,
let's dig into that.
Huh?
Let's dive in.
Yeah. So, I mean, in 2018, when I was in Chiang Mai, it was the first time that I tried a microdose of acid. And then I basically found out like that my brain was starting to work in a lot of different ways that it was never able to do before. I was able to, have a conversation, think about something else, notice how beautiful the world was, and then think about, holy shit, I'm thinking about all these things at once. So my mind's going like operating on 4 or 5 different levels all at the same time. And this was actually the second time that I had tried it when I thought I was doing the same doses before, but it was from a different source. And it was much stronger. So it was more like, wasn't a full dose, but it was definitely more than a microdose. And but that was the first time I realized that, well, maybe there's some potential in this. And so I started in 2018, I really started digging into using psychedelics as a tool in your toolkit to be able to, look at life in ways that you didn't before and approach problems. And it's really, like, I think that the movie Limitless was based off of microdosing or something like that. So, when you look at someone like Steve Jobs or something, he credits, the invention of Apple from a trip on acid. When you look at, and people, it has a really bad reputation. And I think when the DEA like scheduled it as a class 1 back in the 50s or 60s or whatever it was, they just kind of did this ban classification on all drugs as a level 1, schedule 1, really, really bad thing, right? You have something like a mushroom that grows in nature that's in the same drug classification as heroin. That doesn't make any sense at all. You also have marijuana in the same classification as heroin or something like that. That makes no sense at all, and now as we're starting to, like, enough people have used these tools in their toolkit and saw enough value from it, whether it was getting over depression or getting rid of schizophrenia or getting rid of bipolar disease or their fear of dying or something like that. Like, the more and more people said, wow, maybe there's something really to this, and so you have organizations like MAPS and things like that are doing now research, and they've done enough private research to be able to start opening up regulation a bit to where now you're starting to see now investing in psychedelics is something that's like, it's like investing in cannabis was 10 years ago. People are starting to now look at psychedelics.
Wow, definitely had no idea on that. Now, so I do have lots of people that talk about ayahuasca, and that's something you mentioned earlier in the show. Have you, by any chance, tried that out? Any experiences or thoughts on that?
Yes, yeah, I have, and yeah, it was definitely a life-changing experience, and I did it twice actually. And the first time I didn't get where I wanted to go, and it was, but the second time I did, and it was incredibly valuable. Like I do recommend that people do it. It's not, people have to understand that it's not something you go out, it's not a social thing. It's not a party thing. It's a thing that you go to learn about yourself. You go to grow, you go to figure things out, and you come out a much better person after that experience. And, it's not something that people can get addicted to. It's there, it's not something that, it's something, it's a medicine. It's a tool,
Uh-huh. Now, are you able to kind of talk about the experience of what it feels like? Does it feel like you're floating or you're in heaven?
It's hard to describe, Ian. Like, it's really something that you kind of have to do it. It's really like, and everyone has different experiences, but you journey and you figure, your things come to you, answers to questions that you've had, and different perspectives on life, and just things seem to make a lot more sense after you do something like that for the most people.
Wow, very, very eye-opening. Well, thanks so much for being in the hot seat. I think that was definitely, those were definitely big transformations that have changed your life.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so I think it's time for us to wrap up the show. We've been at this for a while, almost an hour and a half. Yeah. Probably the longest show we've had, I think, thus far. So that's good. So where can people... Go ahead. I gotta get going too. I've got a call with Kraken after this, right now. So okay, sorry.
Gotta jump off.
So where can people find more about you and just follow
you?
Sure.
Yeah. So on I think we said on Twitter. I think it's just my name. Just Google Kyle, Kyle Chasse. You can find me on LinkedIn the same way.
YouTube as
and
well.
Yeah.
All right.
So I have a YouTube and Twitter, but like I'm fairly new to the social media. So please like, subscribe, follow, like discuss, whatever. Like it'd be great.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Kyle, for being on the show. It was a pleasure. And as Kyle mentioned, please like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends on this channel. And let's get Kyle some people online. All right. With that being said, thank you so much, Kyle. Take care.
Thanks, Ian.
And I'll see you next time in Thailand.
Cheers, brother. Can't wait to have you out here, man.
Cheers. And
Later.
And as we like to say, the moon is not the limit. To the moon and beyond. Thank you very much.
Exactly. See ya, man.
See ya.
Yeah. Man, I'm the first rock star who ever landed on the moon.
Since the creation of the internet, every industry has been turned upside down. Amazon changed retail. Uber changed transportation. YouTube changed video forever. With the invention of crypto, money is next. At the speed technology is growing, the future of money and securities are digital. 9 out of 10 millennials do not trust banks. The value of money relies on trust. Government debt is higher than it's ever been before. Central banks continue to print money. Fortunately, the world has a new solution. Experts predict in 7 years, 10% of the world's economy will be in crypto-based assets. Today, 1 billion people have access to the financial industry. Crypto is about empowering the other 6 billion people by banking the unbanked. Do not underestimate this. Do you wish you invested in Google, Amazon, or Netflix before anyone ever knew about them? $1,000 invested in Netflix turned to over $500,000. At Token Metrics, we help you find the next Netflix. Token Metrics users think differently about investing. They are early adopters looking for financial freedom. They are people who see a better world. A world without international borders. We believe in a world where everyone has access to the next financial revolution. At Token Metrics, we are creating a bridge that gets you to that revolution. We will help you make sound investments in this new world. The world's best investors do not rely on their intuition. They embrace technology and AI to invest. Token Metrics uses AI to find invisible patterns in data to help you invest and trade in crypto. In the past, we have used our data-driven system to achieve financial freedom. Now, we are giving you the keys. We created Token Metrics to be the only platform you'll ever need to make money in crypto. We give you AI and access to crypto experts at the best price. The moon is not the limit. To the moon and beyond.
Disclaimer. Token Metrics Media LLC does not provide individually tailored investment advice and does not take a subscriber's or anyone's personal circumstance into consideration when discussing investments, nor is it registered as an investment advisor or broker-dealer in any jurisdiction. Information contained herein is not an offer or solicitation to buy, hold, or sell any security. The Token Metrics team has advised and invested in many blockchain companies. A complete list of their advisory roles and current holdings can be viewed here at tokenmetrics.com/disclosures.